Good morning, Kreda. How are you today?
Morning, Norm. I'm great, thanks. Hope you are too.
I'm good, thank you. Been busy with the website stuff, so I'll just hand it right over to you.
Great. We spoke about self compassion a little while ago, and it seemed to really resonate with a lot of people. This idea of beating yourself up for making mistakes and how you could have a different approach to addressing your mistakes. So, I wanted to talk about a spin off topic of that, which is perfectionism today. And again, because it's Wednesday, we're talking about you, the person, not you, the performer, necessarily. So, this is just to help anyone who can resonate with this topic of perfectionism. So, what is perfectionism? It's this need to be perfect in everything that you do. So, really driving yourself to achieve high standards and also believing that this is possible. It's a personality trait in psychology. So, it's something that kind of defines people in general. So, if you tend to be a perfectionist, you'll probably find that you approach things across the board with this mindset. And it sounds like something laudable that our society really celebrates, driving towards your goals, all of that. But actually, there's quite a shadow side to it, and it can be quite unhealthy and unhelpful for you as a person if this is a personality trait of yours. And obviously, it's always something that can be worked on. And that's why we're discussing it in this context today. But with perfectionism, I always think of this in job interviews when people ask that question, like, okay, but so what are your faults? And people think that a wonderful response to this is to say they're a perfectionist rather than say, I swear a lot or I don't turn up to meetings on time, because it's seen to be this positive thing. But really, there's a huge difference between the idea of striving towards your goals and trying to achieve your peak potential and trying to be perfect. And if anyone's familiar with the work of Brené Brown, if you're not, you should definitely check it out. She's great. She's a researcher that studies shame and vulnerability, and she has a great Netflix episode as well, like really good, interesting research that she does. But she distinguishes between these two concepts. And it's really about the motivation behind how you're approaching your goals and behind your idea of striving for peak performance. So someone who is just striving for peak performance and wants to achieve really lofty things, but coming from a positive place, that's okay. If they're starting from neutral and they're wanting to achieve good things, that's fine. But if you're a perfectionist, the motivation behind your need to be perfect is actually coming from a place of lack. So it's actually coming from something in your subconscious where you feel that you're not measuring up, maybe low self-worth, a feeling of inadequacy. And so Brené Brown describes how perfectionism is actually a shield to protect yourself from the experience and the pain of blame or judgment or failure. So rather than just being a positive thing to aspire to, it's something that you're actually using as a shield so that you don't have to deal with the pain of failing or people judging you in a negative light. And so this is how it can be detrimental. So if you are a perfectionist, then you're probably approaching tasks in your life in a specific way. So either you're spending loads of time doing something that should take you a much shorter amount of time. You only take on tasks that you know that you can be absolutely really successful in. So if there's something that you feel that you might only be able to achieve mediocre results in, you possibly avoid it altogether. Some of the other ways that it manifests is that you procrastinate in general. So you put off the actual starting of the task. And you can also hold yourself to really high standards, but you also then hold other people to the same standards. And so when you're applying perfectionism across the board, you can actually be damaging your relationships. So there's a lot of kind of negative outcomes of adopting a perfectionistic mindset. It can also lead to stress and burnout and general lack of happiness in your day-to-day life. So often with perfectionists, they feel like if they don't measure up or if they don't hit that 100%, then that's a sign of complete failure. And so their experience of day to day is that their actual mental well-being and emotional well-being is impacted every time that they don't measure up and meet 100%. And so over time, this can lead to burnout. And actually, the research says that it can even lead to the development of mental illness. So what seems like a very positive trait that people can aspire to demand success of themselves in every area across their life, just be careful that if you're adopting that mindset, that it's not coming from a need to prove yourself or to give yourself validation through your achievements. And as an antidote to this, or as a way of kind of counteracting it, one thing that's really useful to do is to try and challenge yourself to take action before the thing is perfect. And I was on a webinar yesterday with Rachel Rogers from Hello7. So again, if anyone's not familiar with that, she's an entrepreneur and she coaches other entrepreneurs from marginalized backgrounds. And she coined a really great phrase that I wanted to share with you today, which is the idea of taking ugly action. And I really think that that could be applicable to a lot of people in different realms. So not only in business entrepreneurship, but also even in terms of, relationships, in terms of hobbies, anything like that, any area of your life where you have goals, can you actually just take ugly action? So stop waiting for the thing to be perfect before you actually do it. Start the project even though it's not, or launch the book even though it's not fully the way you'd like it to be. It could even be as simple as take up the hobby, even though you know that you're going to have to start at the bottom of the ladder and you're not going to be as good as the other people who are doing it. So my challenge for you today is, one, just try and check in to see if this concept is resonating with you. So do you feel like you apply that perfectionistic lens to the things that you're doing? Two, question what the motive is behind it. So is it coming from a positive place of just wanting to achieve, but you're okay if you don't meet 100% perfection? Or do you think that it's actually coming from this sense of wanting to protect yourself from blame or judgment, and maybe stemming from a sense of lack of self-worth in your subconscious? And if it is the latter, then can you actually identify how this is holding you back in whatever area of your life that it's most prominent? So maybe it's your work, could be your relationships, could be your social life even. So try and actually list 3 ways that this is holding you back. And this will just bring your awareness to the idea that this is not a positive trait to hold on to, that it's something that you can shift. And if you shift it, you're going to enjoy your day-to-day experience a lot more. And once you've done that, then identify one way that you could take ugly action and challenge yourself to do that today. So just a little overview of perfectionism and a quick antidote for a way to shift your mindset if you do find that this is resonating with you.
So create a couple of things. First of all, what was the name of the researcher author that you mentioned at the beginning?
Brené Brown.
How do you
She
spell
has
that
written a
first
series
name?
of
Okay,
Brené,
there
so
we
B
go.
or E-N-E / like father in Irish, but an accent in French.
Sure. Okay, perfect. That's first. You hit the nail on the head with me, and a ton of people in the room are giving feedback as to the same. My guess is because trading draws in a bunch of like type A personality, strong personality people, and that perfectionism probably has a high correlation to that in reality. So that's one that I wanted to clear those 2 things up. So awesome topic. Somebody was asking if these are recorded, and we started doing that when Creda came on. We take these segments out of the pre-market show, and she has her own playlist on YouTube. So if you want to check these out, usually they're available either later that day or the next day. And everybody loves those. So thank you very much. And there was one more thing I was going to say. I can't remember, other than you've done a fantastic job, and the kudos that you're getting in the chat room and from YouTube are just off the charts. So thank you so much, Creda.
Glad it resonates. See you, Norm.
Take care.